This week on Vaticano, we take a look at how Pope Francis is inviting the world to dialogue. Cardinal Angelo Scola of Milan tells us how an organization he founded is connecting Muslims and Christians right now. We joined him at a conference in Milan that delves deeper into the issue. Also, we hear testimonies from Catholic leaders throughout the Middle East and Africa who are seeking this engagement to provide a better future for their flocks. And in the streets of Europe, we see how people are communicating to improve relations between religions. All this coming up. Popes often extend a hand to other nations and other religions. They open official lines of communication, initiate dialogue. Pope Francis, from the very beginning, has shown himself to be a pope of dialogue, just as his predecessors. This month, he spoke with these Japanese junior high school students about how opening up to others breaks down barriers.
Quando c'è un problema, dialogo.
When there's a problem, dialogue. Dialogue is very important for our own maturity, towards the other person, towards other cultures, and also in a healthy encounter with other religions. One grows. He grows and matures. And what is the deep-seated attitude that we must have to dialogue and not argue? Meekness. The capacity to meet with people and cultures with peace. The capacity to pose intelligent questions. Why do you think this way? Why does this culture do that in that way? Listening to others and then speaking. First listening, then speaking. That is meekness.
He made an urgent appeal after the Angelus prayer on August the 25th that peace be achieved through open communication in the Middle East.
Con grande sofferenza e preoccupazione continua.
With great suffering and concern, I continue to follow the situation in Syria. The increase in violence in a war between brothers, with the proliferation of massacres and atrocities that we have all been able to see in the terrible images of these days, leads me once again to raise my voice that the clatter of arms may cease. It is not confrontation that offers hope to resolve problems, but rather the ability to meet and dialogue. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to express my closeness in prayer and solidarity with all the victims of this conflict, with all those who suffer, especially children. And I invite you to keep alive the hope of peace. I appeal to the international community that it remains sensitive to this tragic situation and make every effort to help the beloved Syrian nation find a solution to a war that sows destruction and death.
Trovare una soluzione ad una guerra che semina distruzione e morte.
Cardinal Angelo Scola of Milan is calling Western nations to a greater role in establishing lasting peace in the Holy Land. He founded the Oasis Center 10 years ago to bring Catholics and Muslims to the table in dialogue.
We must enter in contact. The point of the point of reference has to be the common experience of men and women around the world. We are one family of God, and everybody is sharing the complete humanity. For example, the affective dimension of the life, of the job, of the rest. So we have to start from this common experience, which implies also the religious experience. The experience of Tutu and of South Africa, this experience of penance, reconciliation, to avoid revenges, but to choose the route of the repentance. Of course, is a long path, and we must do that in a realistic way, not to be abstract. In some cases, it's necessary to use also the force, the strength, in order to dominate such phenomenon, which is the terrorism is, as a fundamentalism, is an expression of the ideologization of the faith, is a politicization and ideologization of the faith. Of course, is a very proved situation. Christians are put in difficulties in many countries. In certain countries they are also persecuted, and they become sometimes martyrs. Above all, many faithful are pushed to leave the country, and is a very bad thing, because Christianity was born in the Middle East, and we need to help them really more strongly, in two sense, to support them with a real love, a very strong friendship, to support also with different means. I think, for example, the attempt of the Patriarch of Latin to build up a new university in Jordan. We need, don't forget the importance of the evolution of the Christianity in such countries. So now is also decisive for our brothers in Jesus to enter in the process which is changing the situation in the Middle East, in the Gulf, in Iran, in Iraq, in Jordan. So it seems to me that also the Christian has to enter more. Of course, they are few, they need means. We hope that also the inter-religious dialogue and the intercultural dialogue could help the evolution of the situation. But at the end, we are really sons of God. So we are sure that God is leading the history. So we are full of hope.
Every year, Cardinal Scola and the Oasis Center bring together experts on the Middle East to advance dialogue. It takes place one year in a Middle Eastern city and the next in an historically Christian one. This year, it was Milan, Italy's turn.
The theme is Christian and Muslim on a tightrope between secularism and ideology. This is the 10th meeting of Oasis, and Oasis is a foundation that is involved in the promotion of each other knowledge between Christian and Muslim. We think that the religious dialogue always has to pass through an intercultural dialogue, so that this kind of event are characterized by the possibility for people of different religions and cultures to meet together, to dialogue, to approach and tackle the common issues. For example, secularism and ideology are two problems for Christian and Muslim today, in different way maybe, but the topic is the same. So working together as here today give us a possibility to begin a new path, to create a common life, always better, always with peace. We have people from all over the world preparing the program. We wanted to focus the situation in different countries, from Asia, from Pakistan, from Indonesia, from Middle East, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, and then Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, and then the West too, because we want that the East and the West can share ideas and experiences too. I think that starting from this kind of experience, a true meeting with people who have the chance to tell themselves and their experiences, we can build every day a piece of this dialogue.
The situation in many countries is very, very difficult now. And if we don't want Christian communities to disappear altogether, we're going to have to spend more effort greater attention to their plight and begin to develop ways of solidarity where we can reach out and help each other. But the first thing is a recognition that there is a crisis in many countries, and we have an obligation to respond to that crisis. I think Americans have to redouble our commitment to religious liberty, and we have to understand that in many places in the world, even if we don't hear about it, the tests of the free exercise of religion is going on in very strenuous conditions and is requiring many people to have great sacrifices day in and day out. We have to have some solidarity with them, and we have to extend a helping hand.
Thanks for watching Vaticano. After the break, we'll hear from Catholic leaders committed to improving the situation for their flocks in situations of conflict. You're watching Vaticano. Cardinal John Onayekan is from Nigeria. He's one of the leaders of the Catholic Church there and by far the most visible one. In Nigeria, he's been vocal in urging an end to extremism, which has also put his life in danger. He sees open communication as the key to a peaceful solution.
The dialogue between Christians and Muslims is very important because we live in a world where the impression is going around that Christians and Muslims are not living together in peace, and that a lot of the violence, war, killing is because of our differences in religion. And those who do not respect religion says, you see what we are saying? Religion is not a force for good. Religion is only a cause for quarrels. The world would be better if there was no religion. We are about 160 million people, and we are divided almost equally. So we have 80 million Nigerian Christians, 80 million Nigerian Muslims. We have different reasons for working very well together, but we also have different reasons for quarreling. And what's the solution? I don't know. What would I like to see happening? I would like to see a situation where the world can enjoy the positive fruits of religion, of different religions. We can all admit that God is bigger than any of us, that Christians should be free to practice their faith and follow the message of Jesus, and that the Muslims should be free to practice their faith, remembering that they should not do anything to Christians which they wouldn't want Christians to do to them. So we have the simple golden rule, and basically the law that binds both Christians and Muslims, that we should love one another and love God and respect God. You know, some time ago, 2-3 years ago, a group of Muslims came out with that famous document, a word between us, love of God, love of neighbor, and they were inviting Christians, let us sit down and talk. Why were we not able to sit down and talk? Because Muslims are shooting and killing Christians all over the world. This is part of the problem. They must change in terms of opening up to others. Open up to others. Admit that there are other people. Not only that they are different religion, but that they have a reason to have their religion the way they have it. Not only tolerating them, but respecting them. Because I don't want anybody to tolerate me.
Egypt is a bellwether for the rest of the Middle East. The entire region looks to the nation and its trends for direction. Samir Khalil Samir was born in Egypt. He's now a professor and expert on Islam in Rome. He's concerned with an increasing push to Islamization in the entire Arab world.
There is a strong tendency to Islamize the societies, the Arab societies everywhere, or the Muslim society, for instance, in Indonesia, Malaysia, Nigeria, which are not Arab societies, but Muslim societies. They think the Muslim countries are no more Muslims. They are too much influenced by the West. And the West is seen not as a Christian country, as a they used to think, they think it's an atheist country, it's a secular country, and secular means for most people by us, means without religion. What they see, when they see boys and girls going together and hand by hand, they say, this is already a sin. So that they want to react against this society, and in fact, all our societies are westernized a little bit. Some more, some less, but the westernization is a world phenomenon. And they want to Islamize, even to Islamize the West. This is another aspect of that. And Christians and minorities, any minority, are seen for these Islamists, for these fundamentalists, as a danger or opposites to their own project.
Patriarch Ibrahim Isaac Sidrak is the head of the Coptic Catholics in the nation. He sees the opportunity in the current crisis in Egypt for the nation to realize itself.
Il problema è che in Egitto adesso le cose non sono chiare.
The problem is that in Egypt right now, nothing is clear. Politics aren't clear. Then there's a lack of trust of the Muslim Brotherhood in their position. Moreover, of the trust of the people of Egypt in the Brotherhood. They say one thing, they promise it, and they do another. We have difficulties after a revolution brought about by the young people. There are so many ambitions and hopes. We wanted a much more decent life for Egyptians, but here we are after a year in which you've seen Egypt moving even further backwards in nearly everything. For the lack of experience in leading the nation, because the leaders seek to put their hands in everything and control the country. They don't want anyone with them. And actually, they sometimes settle accounts with the past. The Christians, I'm clearly speaking about those in Egypt, are original and authentic citizens. So they suffer, they are challenged, and they enjoy the atmosphere of the nation as a whole with their Muslim brothers, with those who are moderate and good, who really want peace for Egypt. The challenges and the hopes are big. The Egyptian is a very simple person, but within him there are also many hopes.
È una persona molto semplice, ma dentro di lui ci sono tante speranze.
After the break, we'll hear from a priest and an imam about their experiences of dialogue in action. Welcome back. This is Vaticano.
After the collapse of the regime, everybody was expecting some change, positive change, freedom, democracy. But as you know, freedom or democracy are projects for a long term. It's not magic, or magically we have a freedom and democracy. No, a lot of freedom we have. All kinds of freedom, to express ourselves, criticize, forming also political parties, publishing books, newspapers, traveling, but before that it was not allowed. Maybe, the conception of freedom is bad. Many people think that freedom is doing whatever I want without taking in consideration also the others. Freedom is responsible. But the problem is security. There is no security. Explosions on the streets and also attacks, kidnapping. Political Islam now is growing all over because they think that the Islamic identity is, in danger, because they think that Christianity has failed in Europe now because of this culture, immoral culture. What we hear telling us, and also the culture of pleasure and individualism. So, and they are a little bit afraid that if this culture comes into the Middle East, Islam will be also attacked. So therefore they think they are incapable to be integrated to the modern society or modern culture. They want to keep their religious identity, and in Islam, religion and state is working together, and they want to keep the al-Sharia, the Islamic law, because this is for them the only way to be saved. We have to say that we are different. You have your faith, but I have also my faith. I am respecting your faith as you are believing in it, but you have to respect me as I am. And we have to say the truth without any fears. No, we have as we believe. But I think it's time now for Christians to look for some theological approaches to explain our faith in modern language, maybe in Arabic language, helping not only Christians to understand their belief, but also Muslims,
Concretely, dialogue takes place in the streets, living together. In Rome, the Bocca della Verità, or Mouth of Truth Center, exists to promote peaceful relations.
Questa chiesa storica era sempre una chiesa di dialogo.
This historic church is and always has been a church of dialogue between Christians, because we are a bridge between the East and the West, that is, between the Eastern Catholic and the Latin Rite churches, and the Eastern Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches. And we are also proud here in our church in Italy that we are a point of encounter between religions, because our church has never excluded relations or dialogue with other religions, most of all Islam, with whom we live in the Middle East since the 7th century. We've always been there, and we always want to be there in the Middle East, not just to continue this dialogue, but to say that we were born there. We are Arabs, Christians, born in the Middle East, and we always want to be in the Middle East.
Nel Medio Oriente e vorremmo essere sempre nel Medio Oriente.
And here we are back in Milan, inside one of the city's mosques. The head of the mosque, Imam Abdella Cina, was an active participant in the Oasis Conference. He asserted the incompatibility of violence and Islam.
L'Islam ripudia ogni forma di violenza e ogni forma di integralismo.
Islam rejects every form of violence and integralism, every way of restricting belief. The Quran itself says this, that religion is free. The Quran calls people the sons of Adam. In fact, there are 2 chapters of the Quran that speak of the people of the book, who are Christians and Jews, not Muslims. That is to say, God speaks to all people. Therefore, as God speaks to all people, we must speak with all people. I think that only in constructing a responsible, clear and balanced dialogue among people of faith and their daily realities will we be able to reduce the space taken by terrorism and religious integralism.
Possiamo ridurre lo spazio di questo integralismo, di questa forma di integralismo e di terrorismo.
The mosque actually promotes a series of initiatives together with parishes in the city of Milan.
La gente non si accorgono.
The people on the streets aren't concerned about whether a person is Christian or Muslim. They are neighbors, they are friends, they love and help each other. They are family friends, the children go to school together. The people don't see differences. Often, these walls are created. We want to fight to break them down. We want to get to know each other better, to get closer, collaborate, to create links. In fact, in Milan, we are doing that. We have many friends in the Christian world, in the Catholic world. Many parish priests come to visit us, and we also go to their parishes. For example, there is a group of Catholics coming this Saturday that we visited last week. As you can see, we want to know each other. We greet each other on our respective religious holidays. Breaking the silence that separates us and creating links of fraternity is the duty of a believer, if Christian or Muslim. And when we seek the good of the other, we act like people who believe, people of faith.
Persone che credono, persone di fede.
Situations are different in so many parts of the world, but they are all also the same. The people all say the same things. Working for peace consists of talking. Coexistence needs good communication.